Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. We have, again, two returning guests to the GoldFish Report. We have Audrey Ewis, our guest from our last GoldFish Report, who is from New Lyra in the Pleiades. And we also have joining us today Captain Max Steele, who is also a friend of the GoldFish Reports. And I think we had discussed in our previous reports that we were going to do follow-up reports with these gentlemen. I mean, we have them both here together, which is a real treat today. Max was going to go into more description about his planet, where he comes from. And of course, we're going to do the same. We're going to ask the same questions of Audrey about where he comes from, what his life is like there, society, and what it's like being there. And what really came up that was very interesting. And before I say hello to everybody, I should say my name's Louisa. I am your host today. The ambassador will not be joining us for this episode, but he will be returning for future episodes. And I just wanted to first say and welcome back Audrey to the GoldFish Report. Welcome, Audrey.
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
And also, Max, I'm going to have to unmute you. Okay, Max, welcome back to the GoldFish Report.
Thank you for allowing me to return, and I really thank you, and that's it.
Well, as our viewers know, this is live, this is uncut and unedited, and really anything can happen during these GoldFish Reports, and this is really a very candid conversation, and it's actually quite personal. So we're really going to ask some very basic but sometimes very personal questions of our guests about what life is like and how to compare that to life here on Earth. And I'd like to start with Audrey. And Audrey, we just finished making a comment about how we really live as slaves here on this planet. And we can go in, I think we've gone into description of this in previous GoldFish Reports. We can compare and contrast that a little bit right now. And you say, a New Lyra, you don't live that way. So can you describe for our viewers, what do you mean by that?
Well, on your planet here, you have a society of control. You have a small few at the top that control your society, feeding them down the bottom, using their currencies, using their poisons, using the poison of the mind, their television, their media, their educational system, politics, and religion. You have many forms of control and division here where I come from, we do not have religion. We do not have politics. We have a very basic government in a very simple way, and it's more of a council where we simply make decisions as to, let's say, where we are going to go or how we are going to handle some diplomatic situations between different systems that we interact with. So where we come from, we do not have a slave system. We live on a system of freedom. Everyone lives within their means. We have a basic bartering system. We trade to acquire goods and supplies that we need only to live within our means. Currency is non-existent there. We don't believe in people having to pay to survive, to exist. This is a concept that's highly inefficient. We believe in creativity. We believe in innovation. We believe in spirituality, but not in the sense that you believe in religion. We don't have divisions among our people, not even between clans. We may have some clans that may have some slight genetic differences because we've taken in refugees in the past. But that doesn't mean they are different from all of the people. We treat everyone equally. Everyone within our society is treated equally as an entity, as a being and a member of that society. So I hope that kicks it off, that answers your first question. I can't hear you.
I do this all the time. I start talking and I mute myself. I'm sorry about that. Well, it was interesting you said that you barter. and trade. There's no currency. But what about, what about motivation? I mean, let me ask you this. Do people all have an ability? I guess, do you have an education system, and then do you find your talents and then you pursue them? How does someone go about growing up in your society in terms of a direction to, pursue an area?
That's a very relative thing. We do not lose our memory when we die. When we recycle there, when we obtain another body, we carry our memory forward. So it's not a matter of what they are good at. It's a matter of what they decide to do versus what they did before. Some find that they don't want to be a technician. They want to be an herbalist. Or some may want to be a tailor. Others like to design technology. Some like to invent, some like to explore, some want to be ambassadors. We have many different professions there, not unlike what you have here. But
Okay.
the difference is the form of the profession. It's not done out of necessity for us to survive. We don't do it to hold a job. We don't do it to generate currency. We do it because we want to out of free will. So education, everyone there is connected. All of our minds there are connected. We share memories between all of us. We know the same things that each and every one of our members of our society that they have done in the past. We know everything as a collective. So everyone knows everything that everyone else does, but we are all still unique. We are all still separate, but we are a collective as a conscious. All of us connected. We communicate not with a verbal language. We don't speak the way you do here. We don't have words and syllables in the same fashion, save for our names. That would be the very closest thing we have to any type of a verbal language. We do have a written language, which is closest to Syrian Enochian mixed. It's a derivative. It's a different dialect, a different structure of writing that we use in our language. Or written language is not one, 2, or 3 dimensional as you are used to reading. We have many different meanings for a single symbol. So all of our characters represent many things at once. So one symbol could mean an entire volume of information simply based on the angle it is drawn, and the direction you look at it from will change the meaning of what it is. So our language is not verbal in the same fashion. We communicate using intention. It's the binary of the universe. Everything communicates on the same level. At the most basic fundamental level, everything communicates in a form of like a binary, which is similar to your binary code of computers. So we communicate information in packages, emotions, memories, intentions, entire conversations in nanoseconds between all of us. But we also communicate our emotions too. And if one person feels angry, everyone in that society is going to feel angry. So this is not something that we find conducive for our society. We don't feel anger. We don't feel sadness. We don't feel frustration or stress. We have no reason to feel destructive or to want to hurt others. This is nothing that we do in our society. We don't have wars. Although we've had wars in the past with some other races, not of our doing. They wanted to attack us, and we had to defend ourselves. But if you go to our system, let's say from this place, and your mind is not in the right place, and you connect with our collective, it's going to spread bad intentions, bad emotions, and memories like a virus through our people. This is why we don't take people with us a lot. unless they've learned to control their states of their mind, their state of emotion.
Okay, you just reminded me of that scene in the Avatar where there was this collective where, do you know what I'm talking about? Did you see the movie? I'm sure you saw it.
No,
You didn't see Avatar.
I don't normally watch media.
It's okay. It's in the movies, and you might find it very interesting because it was using an example very similar to yourself, and there was this there was like this mother tree which kind of sent out, everybody was connected to it, and everyone had the same information, and everyone was I'm really not describing this very well, but it does remind me of this, and I'm sure some of our viewers are going to put some great comments in there in our comment section and describe it much better than me, and I welcome you to do that, because I think the comparison, there's a very real comparison being made to what they were showing in the movie, and I think what Audrey is talking about. But it sounds very interesting. I mean, do you have musicians and artists there?
We have instrumentals. We developed some technologies that give out a vibratory resonance. If you were to convert it to audio, it would sound like a choir of many thousands of people singing at once. It's a beautiful resonance, and it feels very good.
Sounds wonderful.
Transmits it as a frequency that, in a way that our pineal glands can pick up. And it feels very good.
Wow, how sad that we've been kept from all of this wonderful technology, isn't it? Because I'm sure that you would rather see humanity here, benefit from that and not have to live this way. I'm sure it's right, quite sad from that. But there has to be some kind of educational structure, right? I mean, so let's just start. I mean, education usually starts really kind of as soon as you come out of the womb. So let's start with procreation. What is it like? Everyone on the Pleiades, they're all humanoids like us.
We do procreate naturally. It takes much longer. Our men, us, we're very potent, but our females are not. It's very rare for us to have multiple children in a row. It takes a long time sometimes to achieve that. A lot of our, I guess, what you would relate to as scientists, people that study the mechanics of things, found ways to, to help assist in procreating using, I guess, what is close to your artificial insemination, or the injection of DNA sequence into an egg in order to help with the procreation process. So on our planet, we have ways of doing that in order to increase the population, but we're not overpopulated. We limit our populations, unlike here where people are growing and multiplying at rapid rates. We do have a large population, but it's spread among many of our planets. We have 3 other planets in our system, including one dwarf, what you would call a dwarf planet, which actually is a moon of Era. So we have Era, Orca, and Romulus in addition to New Lyra. And then we have Era's moon, which orbits Era, and it's about the size of Titan. It has a strong gravitational pull on Era and causes a wobble in its orbit. Causes Era to wobble. I'm making hand gestures like you can see me.
Oh.
It causes Era to wobble as it orbits the star Alcyone. Orca also orbits star Alcyone. Romulus orbits star Taygeta. So
I see.
Procreation, it takes a long time sometimes for us to have multiple children. Our children start out usually with knowledge. Initially, they have a hard time connecting telepathically, so sometimes we do have to teach them on a very basic level to communicate with their minds. And that doesn't always happen, but there are times when we do have to show them and teach them to do that, and it can take a couple of years sometimes before they begin to connect, and we can communicate with them easier, but we start by trying to transmit a message into their minds, and we listen for a response until they respond. So once they connect to our collective, they learn many things, and they choose what they want to do based on what they remember about their own past, what they've already done, and what they haven't done. Our existence is about experience. It's about growing and learning to do new things. You know, we don't just do one thing over many cycles that's redundant, unless it's something that's necessary, such as food production.
Okay, that's a great question. Before I go to Max, why don't we talk about food production, and then I'm going to start with Max. We're going to kind of go back and forth a little bit. But can you tell us about food production? That's a very good...
We take cells from animals or plants. Rather than killing them, we don't believe in killing anything. We will take individual cells and grow them without a consciousness. And we still maintain their vibrational state so that they are still just as nutritious as eating the real plant itself. So we get all of the same nutrition. However, our atmosphere on Lyra and on Era, as well as Orca and Romulus, we have a type of plant life that it lives in the air. It lives as clusters of cells that float in the air. And we've modified those cells to have nutritional value so that when you breathe them in, they actually carry nutritional value to your bloodstream. They do not clog your capillaries. So it's the air that we have is highly nutritious. We don't have to eat nearly as much. We can go many days without eating before we actually need physical sustenance. Because of that, it's far more efficient.
And in the atmosphere?
In the atmosphere.
What is the atmosphere like compared to here, compared to Earth?
It has a much higher oxygen value to it. We don't have nearly as much carbon dioxide, although we try to maintain a balance of it for the integrity of the cells in the air. They require a level of carbon dioxide for the cells to survive. The atmosphere is a very light, translucent green hue. When you look through it, you can see the sky is kind of a greenish color when you have the suns up in the sky. So...
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I apologize. Did you want to finish that?
As I was explaining, we can eat physical substance. We do, just not as often as people do here. We don't require nearly as much. We don't need as much weight to survive. And because we survive off of also meditation, we still don't need to consume as much.
Well, that's definitely something we're going to get into in another GoldFish report, and I think that you're going to be joining us, if I'm not mistaken, for our roundtable part 4 at the end of September, which is all about energy, because the whole concept of meditation and rejuvenating our bodies through meditation is all energetically right, and we're going to definitely be talking about that. And let me go. Thank you, Audrey. Just stand by, and let me go over to Max now. And Max. Thank you. And Max, these are the same kinds of questions that we've been talking about with Audrey that our viewers would want to know about Eliam, which is in the planet you come from in the 17th universe in the 21st dimension. Maybe you can just, explain to our viewers how is this can be in the 17th universe, because we live in an omniverse. Like, according to Alfred Lambermont Weber, we live in an omniverse with, millions or maybe billions of universes. So this is not so far-fetched if you follow Alfred's line of thinking as a futurist. in the 21st dimension, is that, when you say dimension, are you talking the very high dimension, like not even physical? Is that correct? Maybe you can go and explain to us about that.
Well, the 21st dimension, where I come from, really, at the time when I arrived on Earth, my people were in the ninth dimension, and throughout 50 years, we evolved into a higher dimension. Now, I had to go through different types of changes throughout the years in order for me to be up with my people, which I already am. The other thing is that we do have bodies in the 21st dimension because we have not finished our 10th cycle. Our people live up to 100,000 years, but we have 10 cycles of 10,000 years. And I am in my 7th cycle. Actually, if you're going to figure out how old I really am, I'm 70,732 years. Because I'm very different than Audrey. Audrey's come from another place, and we're completely different in many, many ways. And we do different things. We have in our solar system 8 billion planets that we have created. We're not just our people involved in our planets. We have other light beings from different dimensions that have lost their planet, and we have come to the rescue. And what we do is we build a planet for them in whatever dimension they were at that time. So if their planet died, they were in the 5th dimension, we will build a planet for them to vibrate in the 5th dimension. Okay, if they're in, here's 21 dimension, where we come from, and this is a planet of the 5th dimension. The vibration between this planet, the 5th dimension, and the 21st is different. The thing is, they're there. They cannot see us because we're in a higher dimension. We can see them because we have the technology. Okay, we do this with several of our with the universe that we're in, our galactic. Okay, is where we at is way different. So our planet has 8 billion people. We have, if you look at a dice that has the number 5 on it, Eliam's in the center of the 5. And then you got the other planets all the way around it. I'm not going to go to the detail of the planet because there's some secrets there I cannot let loose. And plus, I won't be in any kind of danger, or my people will be in any danger, because it's impossible for you to get there. It doesn't matter who tries, you can't get there. The other thing is that we do have a planet, because Audrey said that the food is floating in the air. Ours is different. We have a planet that is 3 times the size of ours. That is a water planet where all our food is grown underwater. We do have other beings that are from other dimension that we have brought to that planet, because there are these aliens that come, entities, let's call them entities. These entities come from a different planet where they're water people. They live underwater. Okay, so aquatic beings. So we rescue them, and they agree if we give them a planet where they can do our farming, and our farming are done underwater because they're underwater people. So that's where our food come from. It's come from underwater, and it's small. It is a plant life, like seaweed, but it's not quite. It's green, and it's full of protein and chlorophyll. It's got a combination of chlorophyll and spirulina, and a high concentration of protein. We only eat once a day, and we only sleep 3 hours a day. That's all we need. My planet has two suns. It's green. Both are green. They're on the opposite side of the universe. When they come out, we have daylight twice a day and nighttime twice a day. So we have night two and daytime twice a day. It's an energy that gives a lot of energy to all the other planets surrounding in our universe. The only way I can put it into English word, it's called the ultragrain. The ultragrain is an energy that energizes our planet, even though we have planets that are far out that the sun does not reach there. Maybe half of the planet is sun. You have a question?
Well, you reading my mind, Max? You must have been reading my mind.
Of course.
I do have a question. Of course you are. So what is your day? I mean, ours is 24 hours. Is yours 24 hours? So when you say it has two suns, it has two daylights, two night times. I mean, it must be a much larger, orbit around your suns than.
It is. That? Yes, it is larger. Time does not exist where I come from. It just doesn't. It just does. Sun comes out twice a day, and daylight comes twice a day. There is no time there. We just know We just know automatically when the sun is going to come up or when nightfall is going to come down. If I was going to put it into English terms, to the humans can understand it, I would say it would be every 6 hours. We'll have the 6 hour of daylight. Then we have 6 hours of nighttime. Then we have 6 hours of daytime and then nighttime. The process.
It sounds like a sine wave, like the diurnal tides. It's like a tide chart almost. It seems like. Is that a good analogy to use?
Yes, you could use that.
Yeah,
that would be perfect to do that.
Right. And I meant to ask Audrey this too. And when we go back to Audrey, I'm going to ask you this question, Audrey, so he'll be ready for that.
Yeah.
So can you give us an idea about how is your society organized? How is it? Do you have a government? Do you have politicians? Or how are you represented?
Well,
if at all.
Okay, we do not have a government. Okay. I am their leader. I happen to be the king of my star system. I am the leader. I'm their king. My Earth wife now, Nicole, is my actual queen. She on Earth what you call soulmates and twin flame. That's what we are. Anything that I feel or she thinks, it's all vice versa. I know what she's thinking. I know what she's doing. And I know everything about her, and she knows everything. Her name on my planet, our planet, is Zila, and I'm called Azaya. Azaya is my real name up there. I'm just use Captain Max Steel on Earth. Any question?
No.
Okay.
I'm just listening. So okay, so if you're the king of your planet, what is the we have politics here. We have a society, a structure in our society where there's we have just look at the whole planet. Okay, we have it's supposed to be the UN, supposed to be managing international treaties, and then we have more national issues and laws, and then we have state laws, and then we have county laws, and then we have city laws. I mean, it gets really, we have this hierarchy. What happens on your planet?
Well, number one, we don't have any of that you just suggested. And we don't have any of that. It does not exist. Everybody on our planet knows what to do every day. And we give the freedom to our people to do what they want to do. For example, because we don't have months or weeks like you do here on the planet Earth. We don't have any of that. What we do have is that everybody does what they want to do for a certain amount of time, and when they want to change to do something different, they're allowed to do it at their own free will. We don't control anybody like they do here on Earth. And to me, the United Nations is so corrupt, like your governments all around your planet. They're so corrupt and all that. So I'm just telling you that we don't do that. We believe in freedom. All we believe in the energy of love, and we express love to others. And we do not go into violence. We don't have that. It does not exist in our planet. We do many different things that you do here on Earth. And boy, I can't wait to leave Earth and go back to my planet. I've had enough of it. But I cannot go because I have a mission here.
Okay. Do you have money there? Do you have a currency system? Do you barter like Audrey was telling us? Is there a barter trade system? Do you have currency?
No, we don't have currency. We don't barter. Everything is provided to our whole planets. All our planets around us that belong to our star system. Everything is provided for everyone. There's no money, no currency. It's not needed.
By whom? Who provides this?
I do.
Okay. More specifically, I mean, is there a commune type structure to your society? Where I think we've talked about this in a previous GoldFish report, where the idea is everybody, and I think maybe the Agarthans have this kind of structure, the inner earth civilization, where it's kind of like everybody puts in 3 to 4 hours a day, and when they do that, everybody's needs are just met because everybody is putting in 3 to 4 hours a day, and it's for the benefit of everyone. And you kind of want to do that because you know that that's the most efficient way for this, for everyone's needs to be met. Now, that's what I'm kind of looking for, something along those lines. Is that the concept? I understand you provide it, but are you talking about replicators? Is that how it actually manifests? How do the clothes on? Do they wear clothes? How do the clothes? Where do the clothes come from?
Okay, that's good. That's a good question. Our clothes are made, and when you're born on my planet, the uniform gets put on the child as soon as it's ready to walk and be part of the life in our planet. We put a uniform on them. The uniform grows with you. It grows. It doesn't have a time frame. It's infinity until we go through the 10 lifetimes that we go of 10,000. The uniform. I'm glad you touched that. I need to talk about the uniform. The uniform is very special. On the inside of the uniform has these dimples. They're approximately, to Earth's measurement, half an inch between each dimple. Each dimple touches the skin. And these dimples read our vital signs, and anything that the body goes into some kind of medical problem, the uniform automatically fixes the problem. We don't have to go to doctors or nothing like that. The uniform does everything for us. The uniform is very special because if we go into a place and it's very cold, the uniform picks up a signal from our brain and automatically adjusts the uniform to create heat for our body automatically. And the uniform does change a little bit on the outside because the uniform also has pores like we have on our skin here on Earth. So it needs to breathe too. So when it's time to change to cold weather, our body and the uniform turns and heats us up on the inside. Now, if we need to go underwater, it's very easy. All you have to do is think about going underwater, and all of a sudden, a special helmet comes out and covers the whole head, and we can breathe underwater undetermined of time. We don't have to put oxygen tanks like you do here on Earth. It automatically does it. If we need to fly, it's another thing. Another type of helmet pops up from around our necks. Our body suits change, and we're flying. We can fly anywhere. And another thing, we can. I know you said to Audrey, "How do you get around?" We don't have any cars. We don't have any vehicles. We can go two ways. We can project ourselves to wherever we want to go, but just by thought, and within less than a nanosecond, we're there. It does not.
Is that called bilocating, or
Well,
is it teleporting?
Actually, it's teleporting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have also another way we could do it. We just bring this into our minds, a thought, and we turn into light, and we just disappear. It's like an orb, like a white orb, and flying through the room. We can do that way too. We can also fly quite a distance. We can also not just fly in our atmosphere. We can actually fly in orbit. If we're going to go to orbit and we just want to fly, we don't have to do that, but we can fly to another planet. Another helmet comes up, and the uniform changes, and then we're able to go to another orbit, and we can be there very quickly because our uniform does all that for us. And question?
No, I was just going to go. I mean, while you're talking about this, I wanted to go and ask Audrey about the transportation system that exists over on New Lyra and maybe throughout the Pleiades. But before I go to Audrey, I wanted to ask you, what's the population of your planet? Do you know?
Yes, of course I know. Our planet is 8 billion, 8 billion people in each planet. We have a total of 8 billion planets, and that's it. But I want to add something. Okay, our spacecraft are called biosphere. They're actually we have several sizes. I didn't know actually that we had one that was 120,000 miles wide until just recently. I don't know. I don't really know all the time what's going on in my planet and my system, because my brothers and my prime creator takes care of that when I'm away. But I do time to time check. But our ships are 120,000 miles wide. We used to, in 2011, where it would take us 7 days to get here.
Okay.
And as of a year ago, took us 7 hours to get here. But now it only takes us 3 hours to come from where we come from. And I cannot tell you the speed of the craft because there are no words to put it in English how fast it is. It's faster than what you think. It's faster. Before you think about how fast it is, we done gone there and back and returned 10 times.
Max, so let me go over to. I want to get into a little bit more detail of the transportation systems, but generally speaking, I wanted to ask Audrey if he could come back. Let me unmute Audrey first. And okay, unmute. Did I unmute? There you go. Okay, Audrey. Since we're talking about actually, the first question I wanted to ask is, what is the population of? Well, the Pleiades have 7. Well, they call it the 7 sisters. So
we have about 4 planets and 1 dwarf planet, which is the moon of Lyra. Spread among all 5 of those celestial bodies, we have a little less than 27 billion. Each planet has an equal distribution.
okay, and so that would So that, I'm sorry, that was 4 planets and
One dwarf
1 dwarf.
orbits planet Era, which orbits Alcyone, which is a star.
Now, when you call it a dwarf, are you saying that it's kind of like the residual of a supernova, or are you calling a dwarf
Hmm.
more like
It's a
a
smaller,
quasar or something?
it's a smaller planetoid. Using your word for dwarf planet, what you would define as a planet that is too small to be classified as a large planet, such as your Pluto that you all say is a dwarf now.
Right.
Um, you know, planets of that size. This dwarf planet is about the size of Titan. It's slightly smaller. But it has an atmosphere that is breathable. We've terraformed that planet
Mhm.
or planetoid in the same fashion that we did the other 4 planets.
And so how do you get around? What is your main transportation system? I'm sure since it's such a huge planet that, do you have the same kind of flora and fauna that we have on Earth? Do you have oceans? Do you have deserts? What is the geography like there? And how do you get around there?
Very different from the transportation. Our transportation, we use graviton powered and photoradionic powered vehicles. Our vehicles have a graviton drive which acts as a stabilizer, diamagnetic to gravity. We have a photoradionic drive engine which we use for propulsion. We have various types of vehicles. We have much smaller transport vehicles that we use, which are light, what you would call a beam ship. I've heard the term used before many times. Um, we have other vehicles which are much larger, meant to carry supplies and carry goods between planets. We have another defensive vehicle that we use only in times of defense against threat of war.
Mm.
And those have what you would call a pulsar cannon, but I will not go into the details of how that works, not over these lines.
Okay, not a problem. The and so can anybody fly these beam ships, or is that again, like we were saying before, people get to select what it is that they like to do, or can anybody pilot these craft?
Anybody can if the craft belongs to them.
Mm-hmm.
Each craft has a unique resonance that it recognizes based on who it is, I guess you can say, bound to. It has to do with a specific fingerprint resonance of the being piloting the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Every being in our system has a very slightly different frequency, like a fingerprint. I mean, we all resonate at a very high frequency regardless, and we are all universally equal in frequency except for some minor variations. So all of our vehicles have a certain resonance they recognize. So let's say one person from one vehicle tries to pilot one of mine. It would not work because the vehicle would not respond. It doesn't recognize their specific resonant fingerprint.
Okay.
Question.
So is it organic, you're saying then?
No, it is not organic. It is still mechanical. It is still electronic. It still functions in the same parameters that your computer does. The difference is that we have an interface that we design that allows us to communicate with our vehicle using a telepathic communication. And
Okay.
likewise, it can also transmit back. It's using a crystal-based technology that we developed. Once again, something I will not describe over these lines.
Paste. Okay. So, but everyone who lives or comes from the New Lyra, um, are you all I know that during the wars some refugees came here on Earth. So how purebred, I should say, is your population, and what makes up your demographics there? What other, I guess, star system people may be? Did you have a mixed population, or is it quite
We've taken in
homogeneous?
We've taken in refugees from many different systems. A lot of people that we've taken from here in the past to our planets. We have some populations of, let's say, your Mayans. You've all asked where your Mayans went. Yes, some Mayans still lived here and are descendants. There are descendants of them here living among the population, but we took a lot of them with us during some wars. And they live very well with our population. They've intermixed with our populations there on Era.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some variations. We have different peoples from different planets, Emerthans. We have some descendants of Syrians that live among us. We have some Andromedans that live among us. We have some Arcturians that live among us. We have several different populations that live with our people, some as ambassadors, others as residents.
I see. That would make sense. And what about, does everyone, look similar?
That depends on your clan. I am what you would call Sanjazi. That's the closest word I can use. We are descendants of a woman by the name of Sanjazi, who was a leader on one of our planets within the old Lyran system. So we have more what you would call Nordic features. We are not the Nordics. We are not your Aldebarians. We have nothing to do with them. They have similar features, but they are not us. They are not even welcome in our system.
Okay, and you referred to this as a clan. Yeah.
We have different clans, but no divisions in our society. Different clans only indicating slightly different genetic makeups. Different combinations of genetics from many, many thousands and hundreds of thousands of years of crossbreeding.
Okay, so you're talking about maybe more like a bloodline?
Yes, more of a bloodline, but it's not the same. We don't have a preference of who we mate with. It depends on who we resonate with.
I see. And how does that happen? How does courtship and marriage, and what is the concept of, before I go back to Max, what is the concept of marriage? I think you had mentioned to me previously that there's a concept of union, but we may think of that a little bit differently. Could you explain how you form a family there? And
find a woman that you resonate with, someone that you connect with. It's it's a real magical thing. It's very powerful. That woman you stay with across many cycles. We don't break a union because of death. We find them again and we reunite and we stay together across many, many cycles. We have children many times over. Those children know each other. All of our people are very connected. They've had relationships, they've had relations and friendships for many, many, many cycles. It's a very close-knit society that we have as far as relationships are concerned. We don't have marriage in the same fashion that you have here. We have contract marriage here. We don't have that where we come from. Our people, we form a union and it is acknowledged among our people, but it is not a contract. We're not forced to stay with the woman that we're with. We do not believe in, let's say, polygamy, but I will say, sometimes there were some that would do that. We don't believe in that, per se. We believe in a single union marriage unless it is equally, mutually agreed that you want to try something new.
I see. So, I mean, here we have a pair bonding because of the commitment that's involved in rearing human babies, because we don't come in with knowledge. So since we are so basically vulnerable and need so much investment really to foster all of the things, morality, education, everything you can think of, language. That's how we think of it here, which you probably know, that the pair bonding, which is really what the purpose of the marriage contract, well, not the purpose, I think it evolved that way, that to ensure that the provider sticks around and it's really, in some cases, to survive. I guess maybe the only time I'll agree with Darwin is to survive long enough to reproduce. So in order for these offspring, for these young to survive and reproduce here, there has to really be a commitment from both parents so that they can thrive, so to speak.
I wanted to add, although we have male and female, our roles are not divided. We don't divide on gender. We're very equal regardless of your gender. I took care of my children just as much as Arianhas took care of them.
Mm-hmm.
We had all of the same roles, except, of course, feeding a child for me is not the same as it is for a woman. So, they can do some things that I can't, but I still would take care of my children in much of the same fashion.
Okay, so our bodies are very much similar. I mean, basically, anatomically, are our bodies pretty much identical?
Yes.
They are. So they have this mammalian, where they nurse from the breast and children, the young. And is it mandatory? Do they all do that? Do all women?
They all breastfeed, yes.
Okay.
It's a very normal thing, and it's not a thing to be shamed upon. They don't hide it where we come from. They don't wear blankets or anything. It's not a shameful thing for them to feed in public. This is a very normal thing in our society. For me to see women here that are so afraid to show themselves when they feed, that is, it's awkward for me to see them do that, because where we come from, that is not something that we worry about.
Because
yes, we do wear clothes. Yes, we do wear shoes, and our clothes are not full of style. We do levitate there too. Our gravity is not as heavy as it is here. We have less gravity there. It's easier to create a diamagnetic field, which can lift you above ground. So sometimes women will meditate and lift up with their child and feed at the same time.
That sounds fantastic. It's just so wild. So it just sounds so natural. It sounds so incredibly natural.
It's a beautiful thing. It truly is. And, I notice here in this society that people are so ashamed of their bodies, and that should not be here. Where we come from, it's a beautiful thing. It truly is. We have some women and men that choose not to wear clothes in some instances at their own home, and that's a normal thing.
But they're thin.
Yes.
Yeah, they're lean, in other words. They're lean. They're not fat.
Of course.
I mean, the nude beaches here are pretty
I'm
tough.
not trying to be derogatory against any group here.
No, I understand. Yeah. I'm not being derogatory either. I'm just saying that, it's a little tough on the eyes. Right, Max? Going to the nude beach. I mean, not that I go, I've never been, but, the videos I've seen are a little bit, but I mean, I'm not judging anybody. They want to feel like, they want to feel free and go to the beach, and they don't feel inhibited. But you're right. I mean, our culture definitely has, and I don't know if it's part of the sin, part of shame. Women, because of religion, they do female genital mutilation. I'm so against this. It drives me really crazy to think that they're depriving, women their bodies and in this way. Just like actually circumcision is also mutilation, a form of mutilation. So it's really bad to take someone's body and cut their reproductive organs in any way.
Absolutely.
Right. It's pretty bad, and so it's really all backwards here. It seems to really be quite a mess, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've noticed many imbalances in this society. I've named a lot of them. And
Right.
we've had some comparisons to my society where I come from. You know, there are a lot of differences, but we are still people, just like you.
Definitely, and this is why I think, it's so sad that, we've really been enslaved here, and we haven't had the joy and the benefit of living, I don't know if I would say, a utopian type society. It really kind of seems like it's a utopian society that you came from.
Yes, and this society can become that way. It will take some time. It will take a lot of restructuring.
Right.
Do it without wars. They could do it without conflict between their different races here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone here should be united. You know, they should work toward a common cause.
Mm-hmm.
Develop an Ubuntu society. I've heard this term used many times here, which is very similar to ours in a lot of ways. You know, a basic bartering system is not so far-fetched for them to develop here. Get rid of money. They don't need currencies here. This is completely unnecessary and goes against
Right.
the definition of your existence, your purpose for living.
Well, we had that, before the colonizers came to America. The Indian nations here, the Native Indians, had those systems in place, and they've really been decimated. And I have part Cherokee in my lineage as well, so I do have some of that history, so I can understand. Max, let me go. Thanks, Audrey, and I'm going to come back to you, Audrey. I'm sorry. Did you have a comment?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was a delay in my audio, I think. Max, did you want to comment on anything we talked about? Because I know we talked about some new things that I haven't asked you yet. So did you have something in particular that you wanted to add?
Yes. The way that we reproduce is completely different than Audrey.
Okay.
We don't have the organs, the genital organs, or the female or reproduce. We are 12 foot tall. We do have 2 hearts. And the reason I'm saying this right now is because there's going to be a question asked and when this show goes up, this program goes up into YouTube, there's a person who's going to ask that question. So I'm answering ahead of time.
Okay.
Okay. The question is, I'm 12 foot tall, and where we come from, we do not have all the organs that the human have. We do have 2 hearts. One heart circulates the upper part of the body, and the other one circulates the bottom part of the body. We do have 2 lungs, very large. We do have esophagus. We do not have a stomach. We do not have gallbladder. We do not have intestines. We do not have liver, and we do not have kidneys. We do not have spleen, and many other things. We don't have any of that. And we do not have the male organ, and the female does not have either. The way we reproduce is that we go to a temple that we have. The female stands in front of the male, and then we can do either standing up or even sitting on the floor, and then an exchange of energy projects out of our hearts, each of our hearts, because we do. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, we do have a heart. So it projects from one heart to another, and we project that energy in the center between us, between the female and the male. And there's a machine right above us that when the reproduction of the either a fetus, a boy or girl, it's projected into an energy, and the machine zaps it when it's being created in a larger energy form. It takes it, and the machine takes it to an incubation where it stays there for approximately 9 weeks. 9 weeks. Earth term is 9 years. So when the boy or female walks out of the capsule, is 9 years old, and between that time of that creation to the 9 years old that it is, the suit has already taught a program, a teaching about how our planet is and our system. And if I explain to you that between that time inside the capsule to the 9 years they walk out, it's like having 10 years university in your schools. It's already coming, it's already walking with intelligence and everything about how the planet works and everything. It's all being programmed while you're inside that capsule. Now, do you have a question?
Not yet.
You get into it. Okay.
Max, you always know when I have a question. You know when I'm thinking something.
Because I feel it.
I know. Does Audrey feel it too? Does he know when a question's coming?
Well, go ahead. Ask him right now.
Audrey, do you know when a question's coming?
I always know.
You always know. So you know what the question is, though.
Generally speaking, I know the answer before you even say it.
Right, but do you know, are you guys remote viewers? Are you guys psychic? Are you guys, I mean, okay, let's get into a little bit more of that detail. So,
all of that. All of that.
You can remote view, you're psychic, you can read minds, you're telepathic. What are all these, abilities that you have and possess?
Go ahead, Audrey.
As I was explaining, we communicate through what you call telepathy. So yes, we read each other, we communicate with each other, we read our emotional states, our memories. We all know what everyone else knows in our society. There are no lies. You cannot lie in that society because everyone knows when you're lying, and they all know when you're telling the truth. So here, yes, I do hear people. Do I choose to hear people? No. I try not to because here it's very painful. People have so much bad emotion, so much stress, so many bad memories, and things I really don't want to see.
So you really have to turn that off, kind of.
Generally speaking, I do.
Right. And are you able to, can you bilocate here while you're here?
Are you referring to astral projection?
I don't know exactly.
I do not teleport.
Right. Astral projection.
Astral projection.
I think it probably is about the same thing.
I can do that, yeah.
Astral project. So that means, I think bilocation is kind of really, I don't know if it's the same thing, because I guess is astral projection are you only capable of doing that when you're in an astral state, like of sleep, or can you do this?
No, I do this in meditation.
In meditation.
In my conscious state.
Okay, so you have to.
In a full sleep state. There's a twilight zone just above sleep that I bring myself down to when I meditate.
Right, that's when I fall asleep. I have to work on that.
Take practice.
Yeah.
Without falling asleep. It will take you some time. But you hold yourself down just above sleep in that little twilight zone. It's a very fine line between falling asleep and being awake. You're still conscious. But your body actually believes it's sleeping when it's not.
Okay. So while you're here, though, have you lost some abilities that you would normally have back at home?
Not necessarily, no.
No, but you can control them because you have to?
I've learned to control them better over the last 44 years.
44 years. It's a long time. I'm sure you miss home. Yes?
Of course.
Of course. Who wouldn't miss living in a utopian society?
Would I
I mean,
rather be there than here? Yes. I don't exactly like being here in this society, but while I'm here, I'm trying to teach as many as I can.
that's excellent. That's excellent. Do you have prospects of going back home?
Always.
And do you see yourself having an opportunity one day to do that?
There will be a day, yes.
Okay. Okay, let me go over to Max, Audrey, just for a moment. Max, I see you kind of connecting there. What are you doing there, Max?
I am standing for the first. If you watch this recording that we're doing here for the audience, I have put a mirror of energy in this video here, and when you watch this video through entirely, you will feel healing energy coming to all of you who's going to be listening to this audience. I mean, to sending the energy to the audience as you watch this whole video, you will feel a healing of energy coming to you. And that's what I was doing.
I think I was feeling it. Max, now, isn't it funny how when you do your private sessions, you kind of, the room, you have this purplish, like magenta glow around you? What happens? What are you doing, and what state are you in, and what's happening during that time?
Well, when I do a session, and I send, when I communicate with the person I'm doing a session with, the client, I have to do it also in cam, so I can feel their energy and they can feel mine. What it does is that my body projects a purple energy around me. You can actually see it in the videos when I do a session. My whole outer part is shining in purple. Actually, that's Saint Germain's color. I use that because it's a beautiful color of healing. And not only that, when the person that I'm doing a session with, they also turn purple because her aura is connecting with mine. And that aura gives me the information that I need. Okay? It's not that I'm second guessing people. I don't do that. My readings are a lot different than a lot of psychics. I am different. I created my own systems, and up to now I've had over 257 people in 3 years, and I haven't had one come back yet. So what I'm doing is very well. I do, while the audio was speaking, I was getting communication from a craft that's heading this way. They're called the Kramic, is KRAHMIC. That's what the event's going to happen on Earth. And the 3 days of darkness going to show up when these entities show up. Like I said before, the cabal is going to use that as like a false flag to make people go into fear. I want to make it clear it's not that at all. These beings are coming here. They're coming here to clean up the earth, get rid of the cabal, and all the negative entities are here. They're going to be clear once and for all. And then it's. I know this has been said so many times that you know there's being coming here and all that. These beings they make their own decisions. They don't agree with any of the Galactic Federation of Planets or Galactic Federation of Light. They do whatever it takes. They're not under any of those commands, and I have been communicating with them for a long time. And finally, when they finish their mission somewhere else in another galaxy or another universe, they're now heading this way. They're very close to the sun. The craft is too big. It's much bigger than Okay, I'll give you a good explanation. This crap is so big that the sun, it's like the size of a dime next to it. This is how big it is. I told them to slow down because if they keep going at the speed they're coming, that it's going to create a shock wave through this universe, and it will affect every planet in this solar system. So they are slowing down. They will, once they arrive, they'll be sitting behind the sun, and they will bring small craft to the earth. And what they're going to do, they're going to control all of the media and all the satellites, and everything that's controlled by the cabal is going to be uncontrolled by them. They're going to take control of the whole earth, and they're going to broadcast information why they're here. They're here to exterminate. I'm going to use a strong word. They're here to exterminate the cabal, the archons, the draconians, the Anunnakis, the mantis. It was going to be the reptilians involved, but the reptilians have taken a different direction. They're not going to be hurt in any type because the reptilians have come to terms with me, and I have been talking to them, and they just told me to tell you guys, everyone here, because they knew I was going to be on the air on this GoldFish report. They have told me to tell you that keep an eye around the earth for different kinds of beautiful changes that's going to happen. They're going to be involved in it, and just don't go into fear. Keep their highest love in your heart, and you will be fine. Just don't go into fear, and don't let your ego take control of your mind, because it really corrupts you. They just want you to forget it. Don't go there.
Max, let me ask you something, Max. What kind of changes are they talking about? That were beautiful changes that we can see. But like, for instance, what could we be looking at?
Well, like the rocket that happened several days ago. The reptilians were involved with another race that have become allies. They're allies of myself, my people, and also now they're allies of the reptilian. So they have said that just keep an eye that things are going to start to change to the goodness of our side. Okay, look at this. See this black thing up here? Look like I got horns. You see that? You see it?
No.
I don't have horns, folks. That's just a picture back there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually.
Okay, that's why I moved out of the way. But anyway, you'll see some changes. Good thing happening. The cabal is trying to start World War III. Actually, World War III has already started. It's not what people thinking of shooting missiles and nuclear weapons at each other. None of that. That's not going to happen. Okay, at all. Period. There's a lot of people out there that do programs on YouTube and say all this. They're just there to disinform you, to throw your thoughts and your heart out of the way. They're trying to cause fear. Don't go there. When you see something like that on YouTube, the best thing is change it to something else. Don't go there and listen to that stuff, because all it is, it's just giving you wrong information to create fear in you.
Okay, thanks, Max. Let me. That's a good piece of advice to give people, is to not go into fear. But they are issuing warnings to citizens to stock up on food and things like that, because they are expecting something imminent, some disruptions of some kind. Let me go over to Audrey, and I wanted to ask Audrey about this whole concept of Nibiru, or Planet X. What is your understanding of that? And who resides on these planets?
Well, you have a race of Anunnaki that reside on a planet you call Nibiru, the Destroyer, as I've heard it called, which happens to orbit a dwarf star, which is not a binary star to this system, but rather a trinary star. It orbits two stars, not one. So that dwarf star has been orbiting two different stars for a very long time. It makes a rough 3,600-year orbit. And it passes through at a very strong angle through the ecliptic. And as it does, because of the gravitational pull of that star, it causes disruptions, causes sometimes orbital shifts in some planets. And other times it's run into other objects in the solar system, namely Phaeton, which was a planet that once orbited where that asteroid belt is. So you now have an asteroid belt because that planet was torn to pieces by the gravitational pull, the gravitational strength of that dwarf star as it passed very close by that planet, enough to tear it apart.
Wow. That's huge.
Yes, it's a very big dwarf star. It's bigger than Jupiter, much bigger, by about at least three times the size of Jupiter. It's a very big star in comparison to Jupiter and all of the other larger gas bodies you have in the solar system. Right now, you have that dwarf star, which is now looping back into the solar system to make an exit from now near the orbit of Saturn. And it'll be back this way through 2018.
So what will happen to Earth during the, I mean, right now we're feeling, I think there's so much tectonic movement right now. Now, is this from Nibiru, or is this
from a lot of things? But your Nibiru is much smaller than your dwarf star. Don't confuse Nibiru with the dwarf star. They are two completely separate bodies.
So it's much smaller.
I hear people call Nibiru the star Wormwood, the destroyer. That is not true.
Okay.
Lyra is known as the Destroyer, but it is a planet. It has an iron oxide atmosphere. As it approaches the sun here, this particular star, the solar wind from the sun pushes its outer atmosphere, which creates the appearance of wings. This is not the dwarf star doing this. This is the planet, the Nibiru planet, with an iron oxide atmosphere. Its gravitational level of the planet is not strong enough to hold the atmosphere down enough to prevent solar wind from blowing off the outer layers. So it creates that winged appearance that you've all noted.
Okay. Let me just ask you, have you traveled to many other distant galaxies or
I've traveled
universes?
to Andromeda many times. Universes, no. Dimensions, we've ascended many times. We've gone between here and the fourth and the fifth many times. We've come back through ascension and descension, and this can be done by meditating on a star growing at your center. It doesn't just heal you. It raises your vibratory frequency to the point where eventually you will break this. You'll break the frequency cap of this universe, this particular plane, and you'll transcend it. You'll become light, physically ascend into another level. It's like changing a radio station.
Right. Can you tell how far frequency-wise a person is from, attaining that level? Like, is there...
Oh, that's very, very easy. Yes.
So is it like you're 12 hertz away or you're 15 hertz away. How do you quantify that?
I can't necessarily always measure, let's say, specifically in hertz. I can sometimes with accuracy, but I can say that, let's say for you, you need to meditate much, much more. You have a high resonance, you have a high vibratory frequency, but as far as coming close to ascension, you have a little ways to go.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I definitely.
Your daughters, however, if they were to meditate enough, if they raise their frequency quick enough, since they are so young and so high in vibration, they could ascend within days or weeks.
No,
they would no longer be here.
They would no longer be here.
But you ascend with your body, not without.
So, okay, I've heard so many different explanations of ascension. Can you give us, where do you go? Give us an idea of what this means then.
You go to the next plane. There are many different planets, just as there are here, many different star systems. The fourth is much brighter, but you have all referred to the fourth as heaven, which was a mispronunciation of the word haven. So when you transcend this plane, you don't go to the fourth without your body. You go with it. It is your vehicle, your vessel. It carries your light being from here to there and beyond. Depends on your level of dedication to meditation, raising your vibrations, healing, and learning to not be an angry being, learning to not be hateful, learning to forgive people and love. You cannot sail a boat with your anchor down. And fly a hot air balloon with your weights attached. If you want to ascend, you have to let go of all of those painful things.
Definitely. That's hard to do because this society keeps us so busy that the concept of meditation is, like I tried last night and I fell asleep and I really wanted to. But like a year ago, I think even my own vibrational resonance was higher. I could even see things on a multidimensional. There was some interesting things happening to me. But then in this past year, somehow my frequencies lowered a little bit and I didn't access that quite as much. So I think it's definitely hard in this dimension on this planet to maintain a high level all the time, because I think we're just being bombarded with so much electromagnetic frequency. And, among the other, belief system programs and all things that could also lower our vibrations, and anger and emotions. Now let me ask you something. You said that you have emotions. Do you all have the same emotions that we have?
We can feel everything we do, but we choose not to feel anger, sadness, pain, misery. These things are very destructive to your vibrational state, and they cause aging.
Right.
On a very big level. We meditate not just to ascend, but we do it to maintain our vessels. When you meditate, you're enhancing the amount of vibratory frequency within your corks, photoradionic waves, which are within corks, those strings that scientists here still are trying to identify. And what happens is that energy is absorbed by mitochondria within your cells, and those cells then are able to perform at a more youthful state, metabolizing vitamins, proteins, minerals, certain acids in your body at more youthful levels to replicate properly and regenerate your body from the inside out, creating a more youthful appearance.
It might seem overly simple, but I don't think everybody knows how to meditate. I don't think everyone is as efficient. The people are at different levels of efficiency in terms of meditation. So if you're meditating the wrong way, then it's not going to produce, or you're not doing meditation in a manner that's, I guess the way it's intended, then you're not going to have this desired effect. So what do people normally do wrong that you have noticed? and from our earthling, point of view.
They have a very limited view of their chakra system. They believe their chakra starts at their root and ends at their crown and goes beyond above them. They are excluding their hand chakras and their feet chakras. They don't seem to believe or understand that their chakra system extends to their hands, to the palms of their hands and the palms of their feet. So these things, when you meditate, you need to take into account when you're meditating on a star growing at your center that the energy flow doesn't just end at your root or end at your crown. It also crosses horizontally between your hands, and it also goes to your feet.
So then we should be doing something special with our hands and feet while we're meditating.
Well, you can sit or lay down or sit lotus style. It does not matter how you decide to make yourself comfortable when you meditate. It has to do with what you acknowledge while you're meditating. Despite popular theory, clearing your mind of everything and focusing on nothing is not the way to do it. If you focus on nothing, nothing will happen.
Okay, so can you maybe guide us through one, like for a couple minutes? Is that possible? Or can you give us a little example on how we can, is guided meditation good? Is that maybe we're doing it the wrong way and we shouldn't be thinking? Or is there, what do you think about that?
When I meditate, I close my eyes. I focus on a star beginning to grow at my center. I do not mean a pentagram, a fake drawn star. I mean a real living, breathing star. Starts out as a very small point, and it grows and grows, becomes hotter, more vibrant, much stronger. It's irradiating more and more light, becomes incredibly bright at your center. As you're doing this, you're breathing, you're controlling your breathing, you're focusing with your eyes closed on the star. And start focusing on the child you used to be within the star. Imagine, as you focus on the star, the innocence of that child you once were, the things you loved to do, the things you enjoyed as a child, playing in the grass, playing on the playgrounds, on the swings, that innocence, not ever having to worry, not ever having to stress. Feeling the sunlight on your cheeks, running on the beach, the sand between your feet. Focus on things that you enjoyed when you were a child as you're meditating on the star growing at your center. As you do so, the star grows and grows beyond comprehension. There is no limit to the size of the star. It can become as big as you want. This helps release your mind of limits, all the while giving your body the intention of increasing the vibratory state of the photoradionic waves within your cortex. Imagine yourself becoming that child again. Imagine yourself without pain. And do this every day.
So what should our minds be doing? Nothing?
No, your mind is focusing on the child you used to be while you visualize that star growing at your center.
Are you supposed to feel something?
Yes.
You're supposed to feel energy.
Yes. At your center,
Work on that.
you will feel a warmth in your chest as you meditate on a star growing at your center near your heart chakra. People have asked me often, do I focus on a star I know? I focus on Star Atlas. That is the star that I like to focus on growing at my center. Many of you all know your star here, your sun, and that's a good place to start.
Okay, and
is that sun growing at your center?
What about outdoors as opposed to indoors? What about in the sun?
I like to sometimes meditate in the grass, outside in the sunlight, and I just focus on the star growing at my center. I can hear the birds and feel the wind, feel the sun. Sometimes I'll meditate at parks and I'll listen to the sounds of children laughing and playing as I'm meditating.
Hmm.
While I focus on a star growing at my center and I focus on the child I used to be. It's very simple.
And so we're at the hour and a half mark, and what I want to do is I'm going to ask Max this too. Since this is a very candid conversation and we're talking about real personal things, about just the basic concepts of life from where you come, is there something that we haven't talked about? Is there something I haven't asked you yet that you thought you might want to share with our viewers? Because you've been here for a long time, so you know a little bit more of the differences and the comparisons to make. Is there something that you think that you would want our viewers to know that we haven't talked about yet?
Yes, it's a little different than Audrey's. Like he says, he centers the star. We don't use a star. We use a triangle. It's a three-sided diamond. It's like a pyramid with three sides. And what we do is we turn that triangle in the center where our heart chakra is at. And what it does, that every point of the triangle, when it turns, it does turn counterclockwise, by the way. And as it turns, one of the points of that triangle gets inverted into another triangle, and it goes in and out inside the same triangle. And while the triangle is turning, and what it does, it finds the dimension of that being that's actually doing that meditation. And what it does is that it finds it taps into the spirit and soul of that person, and it finds a dimension and origin that entity is from, who's doing the meditation, and it goes directly there. And what it does, as the triangle turns into different, it's like a Merkaba of energy. It turns counterclockwise as one corner goes into one and the other comes out, and just turns like that in a very fast manner, as the Merkaba creates an energy between that Merkaba and that meditation, where it shows the person that is actually doing the meditation. So the meditation becomes one as one, and we'll be able to go very quickly if you want to communicate with your people, your origin, where you come from. It's not only just meditation, it's a way of communication. I have a special way to extend and have people, when they do a session with me, I have another way that I can, it depends. What I do is I connect first, I open up the third eye. Some people don't have it open. I can open the third eye. And I bet you one thing that nobody's ever known this. I'm going to say it right now. We do have not just third eye. We have the fourth right here, and we have the fifth right back here. When I connect the fourth and fifth eye to the person's mind, his head, I communicate. I open the third, the fourth, and the fifth. I don't do that all the time, because some entities that come from another origin are now allowed to have those fourth and fifth eye, because that's the way their origin come from. They're not allowed to have this. But I can do that to anyone, okay? And once I open all three eyes, third, fourth, and fifth, a Merkaba of energy turns inside your brain. And that energy, as it circulates inside there, it opens all types of conscious that is hidden in your subconscious mind. So the conscious mind can retaliate to that. It will accept the information while the information gets reprogrammed inside that person's head. Now, I also can remove mind control. I've done many people like that. I've removed their mind control. I have very special ways how to do that. And I have a new technique that is using 3 rings, one on top of each other. Like if you look at one this way, and one this way, they're actually turned sideways. And I can show you how to work that and go through the bottom ring, come out the back, go back to the center ring, and come back to the top. And you keep doing that all over again. You do it like 7 times. And when you do that, what it does, it generates an energy around your whole body, your aura. And the aura is not just to show you the light of you around your body. It's more than that. It's a communication device that's around you. And some other people, that's some psychic and clairvoyant can read that. But
Max, let me just interrupt for a second because I wanted to tell our viewers that I did have a session with you, and I wanted to say what a really incredible experience it was. And although I don't want to go into too much detail because it was personal, I learned a lot of things, and I thought it was very interesting what Max could do. It was very complicated, I mean, in terms of Max, the process he goes through, but I thought it was also very interesting and extremely well worth the time if you are interested in knowing a little bit more about yourself, your Akashic record, and kind of making sense out of some things since we don't seem to have our memory. I'm going to just, fellows, I really, really appreciate your time being with us, and we are going to start wrapping it up. It'll take a few more minutes. But I wanted to ask Audrey if he could just tell us, I really have 2 questions. So I wanted to ask you about, what about, you have this union that you enter into on your planet. I've heard of things called twin flames and twin souls, and can you help us explain in terms from where you come from, what is the concept of twin flames? Do you have them, or are there some unions that are meant to be, and also what is really how does love fit in that role? Like,
you're talking about 2 souls that are born with the same frequency resonance at the same time, but are split and live within 2 separate vessels. And they always attract to one another, no matter what. This is something that we do anyway, regardless of whether or not we are a twin soul to another. If we love someone and we remember that love, we carry that forward through many cycles. But it would be the same as a twin flame, as you say here, looking for their other half. For us, we have a system of telepathy. We have a way to communicate. So finding the one that we love after they recycle again is very easy. That's never hard. We look for their resonant frequency, that unique fingerprint frequency, and we can always find each other.
What do you mean you look for it? You detect it, you sense it?
We sense it.
You read it, okay.
Yes,
you read it. And what can you tell us, Audrey, since you've been here, what is your favorite thing to do when you're back home, and what is the favorite thing for you to do here on Earth?
I've always loved teaching people. I've helped a lot of refugees that we've had taken to our planetary system in the past. I've sat down and taught them to meditate. I've always been more of an ambassador and a healer over many, many cycles. My last cycle has been very long. I'm not so young anymore, but I appear to be very young because we maintain our age. We maintain our vessels over long periods of time by simply meditating and regenerating. We do this often.
I'm going to verify this. I'm sorry to interrupt, Audrey, but I'm totally going to verify this for our viewers. There's no possible way you would ever imagine Audrey's age by looking at him ever. In fact, Audrey's more like Yoda, right? He's like, you know, but you don't look like Yoda, but you're like Yoda because you're like, you know, you can live to long ages or, you know, great ages. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to.
I have not changed much from my photo that everyone seems to know now. But as I was saying, we look for each other across many cycles, and our cycles may be easily close to, not exact, but very close to 2,000 years, sometimes your time, or much, much longer.
Hmm.
It depends on when we find that our vessel is no longer needed.
I see. And can you just give our viewers a little idea of what kinds of things that you do enjoy being here from our culture or from different regions or just the planet itself? What are some of the things that you, can you say that maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to try to speak for you, but I mean, is there anything that you love about this planet, about the people, about the culture? Or is there just some things that you like a lot about it?
I love the many different types of people here. I love nature. I love to hike. I love to bike. You know, I love to go out and walk the streets and talk to new people all of the time and teach them things. Sometimes I will walk the streets and heal people randomly. I will find people and take away their pain. You know, I've done a lot of things for people randomly just because I like to do it. I like to help people.
And that
So
makes you happy.
it makes me happy. I love helping animals. My bunny. I should show you my rabbit, except that he's outside. I can bring him in if you will give me a moment.
Okay.
Let me go grab my bunny.
The cute bunny. It's a big bunny. Max, did you want to tell us what kinds of things that you like about Earth here, and what kinds of things were your favorite things to do back home?
Well, I do love nature. That's one thing. I love being in the wild, in the forest. I'm on the wild animals because I have been I confront when I go out by myself. I usually in just a matter of maybe 30, 40 minutes, I have all kinds of animals all around me.
Wow.
I do have two mountain lions that come here. They're due to come in within 2, 3 weeks. I usually buy chicken neck, and I put it in my freezer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I feel that they're coming close, I take it out and thaw it out. And when they show up, it's a male and female. Sometimes the male shows up or the female showed up, and I'll sit out there in the porch and I'll start feeding them. They won't do nothing to me. I can the coyotes, they don't bother me. The bears don't bother me. I can go right. I can just stand there, and the bear. I will project to the bear that I don't mean no harm, and you don't mean no harm to me. And I project that to telepathic. They do come to me. Okay. When I go into woods and I feel that there's more bears
Mm-hmm.
or bears, I bring honey with me because I like to pour it on the ground so they can
Right.
lick it. But and the other thing is, I like to sit in the waterfall. We have many waterfalls up here in the Blue Ridge Mountain where I live.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to take my wife Nicole to one of these, but we never had time to go that. But I hope when I go to Canada in October, she can take me some of these beautiful places that she knows.
Oh, that's wonderful. We really wish that Nicole could have joined us. We invited her to come on, but she wasn't able to join us today. But we certainly hope she'll join us again at some time. And let me just ask Audrey, since he's back. I'm sorry, Max. I'll be right back with you. Audrey, did you have your bunny?
I do.
What's your bunny's name? We have to have a name for the bunny.
I do, but I don't want to give it out over these lines right now.
Oh, okay. You can give another name. Just Bunny's good enough. Bunny's good enough. So you just let us know whenever you're ready.
Okay, well,
We need your camera, though.
I would rather not right now. I will
Okay.
wait until after the broadcast is over. I'll show you my bunny.
Okay. Actually, I have, I think I had a picture. Maybe not on this computer, though. So Max, let me go back and just let you finish answering that question. What are some of the things that you enjoy? So you're saying that you enjoy doing these things back home and also here. Is there something that you really love about being here?
Well, what I enjoyed about that, I found my soulmate and twin flame, because she's actually my queen up there. It took me a long time to find her. I finally found her, and the most incredible thing that happened between us, that I love her so much. I adore Nicole. She's my everything, and I just wish the humans can feel the love that I have toward her. There's a lot of male and female out there that are separated, or they live together, or you just got to stop all that argument. Just find love in your heart and project that to your partner and show the love that you truly love her. Don't go into these fights and stuff like that. That's why I love Nicole. I love you with my life, Nicole.
Well,
You're
but
my everything.
But what you're saying is that it needs expression. This is from
Yeah.
a Michael Jackson song. Love needs expression. And I believe that firmly, because love is a verb, so it requires action. And Audrey, would you agree with that?
I would agree. I believe that this world needs to be more united. They need to become a united front. All of them need to learn to stand up together. And they need to learn to stop warring with one another, to stop hurting each other. They need to start trying to divide each other based on race and politics, countries,
Right.
based on their religions and their dogma in this society. These things need to go away before they can begin to progress as a society. They need to get rid of money.
Get rid of money.
Need money.
I think you're absolutely right. Audrey, I'm going to start with you. I think you just kind of gave a last comment, but I'm not quite sure if it was really the way you would want to close today. So I wanted to ask you if there was a special, aside from that message, maybe that is the message, but aside from that message, is there some other message that you would like to leave with our viewers today on this subject of the very personal subject content that we talked about today?
Well, the cure to many of their ailments in this society is simply meditating on a star growing at their center and regenerating their bodies from the inside out. This is the easiest thing that they can do, and teaching their children to do the same will help their children to not age and to stay youthful and live much, much longer. They could start many generations of much longer living children through just simply meditating on a star growing at their center. The easiest thing in the world to do. It becomes as easy as breathing.
Very good. And I want to thank you so much for joining us today, Audrey. This has really been such a pleasure, and I hope you'll come back and join us on the GoldFish Report again.
Absolutely, I will.
And I think you'll be joining us for our roundtable, unless I misunderstood. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, your round table is coming up on what date?
It's September 27th.
Yes, I will be joining you.
Wonderful, because this is the roundtable, folks, that you don't want to miss. This roundtable is going to be about everything is energy, from what Nikola Tesla discovered and talked about, Albert Einstein, and beyond. Because if everything is energy, then almost everybody, we could talk about energy in many different ways, and I know that we will. We'll talk about energy as the temple, or as our bodies as being a temple, and how our bodies can utilize energy. We're also going to have Duncan O'Finian joining us. We're going to have Captain Max Steele joining us, I believe. We're going to have Captain Randy Kramer joining us, and of course the ambassador. And all of these, it's really going to be fascinating, because all of these people have an expertise in energy in different ways. And I'm really personally looking forward to how the dynamic interaction is going to be, because everyone's going to be able to comment and add to each other's knowledge base. And I quite honestly, I'm probably the most excited that I've been on all of the roundtables is going to be on this. It's going to be called the Event Horizon, because quite honestly, this is the point we're at. I think we're really at a point of no return, and if we don't get this right this time, then we will have to possibly do this all over someplace else. So if we don't get it right this time, and I think we all want to get it right this time. Max, let me just ask you for some closing comments that you would like to leave with our guests today, because I know that you're getting ready to prepare for your show tonight on Wolf Spirit Radio.
Yes, I am. I don't. You caught me off balance there, but what I wanted to say is for everyone is that the timelines that you're living in right now, is you are in control of it. Your matrix is also in your control. It's not about creating anymore. It's about manifesting. You can manifest anything that you want. Just take it one step at a time. Manifest one thing, because you can't manifest so many things at one time. We will do the rest for you. We're people like me and people like Audrey. We do many things for the planet. We do it in a very different way. Some with higher dimension, well, with some with lower dimension. I'm not saying I'm higher than Audrey, but I really am. But Audrey, I love him. You know, I love him like my father. He's like, but really my son. I really love him very much, and he is so wonderful. Has a good heart for everything. But remember that you're in charge of your timeline and your matrix. You're allowed to do whatever you want to do, manifest. And if you ever want to get a hold of me, I'm at www.max21d.com, and Wolf Spirit Radio every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Pacific.
Well, thank you, Max. Thank you so much for joining us as well. It's been such a pleasure. And I also want to let our viewers know that we do appreciate your comments in our comment section. We appreciate your questions. And if you have questions, you could always email them at thegoldfishreport@gmail.com, because that we are going to have this exopolitics roundtable coming up and I announced who our guests are going to be. I know that I think Audrey will be joining us again. I would hope Audrey would join us again even after that. And yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so if you know that we have our guests returning, and of course Captain Max Steele he's a friend of the GoldFish Report. He's going to be coming on a lot. If you have specific questions for them for the interviews, by all means ask the questions, because we really like to hear from our viewers. And I want to give a personal thank you to our friend Vid over in Slovenia. Vid has really been kind of like our correspondent over in Slovenia. He's been a researcher, a volunteer, a wonderful man with a really great loving heart who's over in Slovenia. And he loves the GoldFish Report. And he oftentimes sends me articles, because that we have a Facebook page, which is a news site. So it's a 24-hour news site, and we post news and relevant articles to the kinds of subjects that we talk about on the GoldFish Report. I'd also like to thank, and I don't want to omit anybody else who has sent us articles. I know there's a few other people who send us information, and I love how we get this interaction from our viewers to know that it is an all-volunteer venture, the GoldFish Report. So when you have people who feel compelled to want to be part of helping humanity and sending stories that maybe I don't come across. Please make sure they're in English if you can. They're not always in English. I mean, I do post some things in foreign languages because you can easily translate them with translator software. And when I ended up doing that, I found that they were extremely important articles to read. But most everything is available in English. I want to thank all of our viewers for watching, and please follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And just once again, thank you so much to Audrey and to Max for joining us. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.